That'll be it.
Perfect.
Yep. Oh man, my screen is dark. I should have put some lighting on me better.
Oh,
What the hell just happened?
I don't know. You look fine.
Aw. There we go. I'm gonna fake out the screen to light me up. And okay, there we go. Game is live now. Okay. So tonight we have Art Talk with Elena Øhlander. Do I say your last name right, by the way? Is it Olander or Oleander? How
It's
do
an
you pronounce
O
it?
and U together, like Olander.
Oh?
Yeah, but you can just say Olander.
I might just call you Elena O. I don't. Oh crap! I should have switched off the additional audio. Every time somebody shares the stream and whatnot, it's gonna blare over my headphones. But that's okay. That's a good thing. Thank you for sharing the stream, Eligio. Lola Curtis, how you doing? People are starting to show up for Elena. Everybody say hi to Elena in the chat.
Hey everybody!
So, um, I've known you for a while. I'm gonna look at you, Elena, but it's gonna make it look like I'm not looking at you. I'm sorry.
Should I do the same thing?
Yeah, just look in any random direction. That's oh look, now everyone's gonna be wondering what's going on over there. So, Elena, you have an art exhibit. Well, before we go into the art exhibit, I need to let people know. So, Elena has probably you've been with us like as an attendee since like the first scam show. You've cosplayed with us. You've been like a model with us. You've done all kinds of art stuff with us. Um, and you have contributed so much artwork to the city of Jax. Not just Jax, I guess like nationwide now, which is kind of crazy. Um, so thank you for everything you do just for us. Um,
For what you do. Come
whatever.
on.
But so tell us about like what you have coming up tomorrow with FSCJ and or TEDx FSCJ.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Ryan. It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure, you know. Let's see. Tomorrow is a TEDx FSCJ panel discussion. It's with Nancy Allen. It's a free event that will be virtually streamed on Zoom. And the premise behind the discussion is about racism in America and anti Asian sentiment and Black Lives Matter. And I'll be talking about my recent body of work that I started during the pandemic. Um, Once the COVID 19 pandemic was announced, I started to see Asian discrimination across the world, but certainly just as close as home in the Western Hemisphere in America. And I've had some personal experiences as well. So it kind of sparked this body of work to reflect the times that we currently live in and kind of confronting that by, having works that are very confrontational.
Yeah. So I your work resonates a lot with me, especially this exhibit.
Thank
And not just I would say pre-COVID times.
you. Mm.
I've definitely gone through my fair share of, you know, racist times and whatnot. I shouldn't phrase it like that. It makes it sound like I've done racist stuff to people. I have been the victim of racism many times. I just
Yeah.
say like that. And a lot of people, all my friends are or have been. My family has been. And with COVID, I would especially say at the beginning when fear was running kind of even more rampant. I remember hearing all kinds of Asian slurs. Um, I remember being worried, especially for I'm only like a small part Chinese. Like I have other friends who are full blood, and they were walking around with a different level of fear because people kind of just automatically with the virus kind of starting in Wuhan, and then people started calling it, the Chinese virus or like the Kung Flu and things like that.
Yeah.
It creates this, especially when it comes from like a higher, like an authority figure. It trickles down to everybody else, and this kind of racism spreads. I remember when people, I want to say, quite a few people actually got assaulted, like over being associated with like COVID. It's like, yo, I freaking live. I was born here, in the states. Like, I got nothing to do with that. So I'm.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of reports, some of which were anonymously reported. One of the panelists for tomorrow is Dr. Russell Zhang, and he is a San Francisco State University professor of Asian American Studies, and he created large database for anyone of Asian descent that had any discrimination or experiences of hate crimes to report it on that site. And so you really get a scope of a lot of individuals that may have experienced some of this,
Mm-hmm.
and and then you start to think about maybe all the people who haven't said anything as well. So it's pretty
It's
appalling.
it's hard to speak up and say something,
Yeah.
especially if it's. I would say if it's new to you.
Mm.
Like if you're. I'm trying to figure out how I can break this down for people. If this is like one of the first times that you get hit by racism, at first you don't even typically know that it's happening. It kind of catches you off guard. And you're like, wait, did that just happen? Is that what they really meant by that? And you want to, it's almost like there's a naivete at first.
Yeah.
And then after you do experience it, it's kind of almost embarrassing a little bit.
Yeah.
You get, sometimes you get overcome with anger, sometimes it's embarrassment. Like there's just, a myriad of emotions. So I definitely see what you're saying in terms of like sometimes stuff just isn't even reported. Like it's never always reported. And I'm hearing from the chat that people are having problems hearing you. So if you could
Oh, me?
talk, yeah, a
Am I
little
too
bit
quiet?
louder.
Oh goodness.
Oh, you're fine. No, no, you're fine. You're fine.
I've been drinking, so
I'll
I'm
drink it up for
not.
everybody. Hold on, I'm gonna pump up your volume a little bit more. Thank you, Ernest, for letting us know. Try talking again, Elena.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. I think it's probably much better. Ernest, let me know if you can hear any better now. Dave Morales, thank you for liking the stream. Tia says, Elena, always amazing as always. Thanks for bringing awareness to this.
Hi,
Yeah,
Tina. Thanks, guys.
our Asians showing up in the chat. And actually, I think it applies to more than just Asian people, though. Like, this
Yeah,
racism is
definitely.
something that everybody, or that a lot of people face. And I would say even white people
Absolutely.
deal with racism. Like, it comes back in the other ways.
It does.
Um, there you go. And Anne's in the chat. She says much better. Okay, they can hear you much better now.
Oh, good. I'm so
Why'd you
glad.
guys say something earlier?
Sorry, I hope I
God.
didn't sound like I'm underwater or something.
Nah, it was probably, I think because we had the volume lower for like the gaming stuff, so we
Uh,
need to pump you up more. But so who else is in the? I I feel like I'm not doing it service calling an exhibit tomorrow. I guess like an interactive experience maybe.
Yeah, with the TEDx FSCJ events, typically they are done in person as an on-stage panel discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, with the current restrictions and many of universities and colleges and institutions of learning being more closed, uh, they had to opt for this approach being virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. We have Malcolm Jackson. He's a photographer and activist here in Jacksonville. He will be part of the panel discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dr. Russell Jung, he will
Mm-hmm.
be part of the panel discussion tomorrow, and a professor of Asian American Studies out in San Francisco State University. Diana King is a photographer based out of LA and Tennessee somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but she's part of the panel discussion, and she created a body of work titled Almost American, Almost Asian, or maybe it was the other way around. But um, either way, I think you can understand the premise there.
Yeah.
Uh, we have,
Hold on, my dog's going crazy, Elena.
oh,
Tobago, it's okay. It's okay. No one's trying to kill us, Tobago. You want a treat? This will shut him up. There you go. Now you stop being rude. I
shall I
see.
continue to
Yeah,
speak?
yeah. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
you
No,
spoke.
I wanted to
Was it
make
Diana King
space for
or
Tobago. It's
Christina
totally
Kittle? That's who you're talking about.
We also have, gosh,
You mentioned Malcolm Jackson,
yeah,
Dr. Russell.
yes.
I think it's. I always pronounce her name wrong. Geeksella is
Oh,
she performing?
Giella. Giella
Giella,
is
thank
also part of the panel discussion. They are an activist here in Jacksonville for LGBTQ plus community, and also they are engaging in opposition. So they're part of the discussion. Gosh, there's another activist. I haven't met her in person,
you. Uh-huh.
so I have a hard time remembering her name. But I know I feel
You mean
very
Diana
terrible.
King?
No, Diana King is the
Uh-huh.
photographer.
I'm
Um,
reading off the names now. Let's see.
oh, thank
Maya
you.
Elaine.
Yes,
Okay.
Maya Lane is an artist here in the community, and she is also one of the facilitators for this event. She is actually the person who reached out to me to participate.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
she's also a student there at FSCJ. Really, really wonderful artist. And
Look at these young kids coming up.
yeah, and I'm missing one. Can you
Yeah,
remind
yeah,
me?
yeah. So let's see.
Oh,
We have
maybe I'm
Mal-
missing two.
Malcolm. We talked about Malcolm
Yeah.
Jackson, Dr. Russell, Diana King, Christina Kittle.
Ah, yeah,
Okay.
Christina Kittle is activist here in Jacksonville. That's the name. I couldn't remember
Okay.
the name, only because I haven't met her in person. But I really appreciate the work she's done in the community. You can see her work through Jax Takes Action, facilitating a lot of the protests here in the community. So, do we name everybody? Am I
I
missing anyone?
think yeah, we called out everybody.
I know Paul Hendrickson is also a
Paul's
professor.
freaking awesome. We know Paul. Paul's a
Oh,
good guy.
Paul is so sweet, and he's going to be facilitating the event together with Maya, with all of the panelists in person. But I really
You know,
appreciate.
I really like. I remember meeting Paul a while back.
Mhm.
I think I met him through Botter actually, because Botter was doing
Oh
the
yeah,
I forgot what it was, but it was like a comic book based kind of
TEDx FSCJ event,
yes.
right?
And
Oh,
he has like zero ego,
yeah.
and he is just a genuinely good person. Like you don't meet a lot of people like that. Where they just want to do cool stuff, and they want to make something happen. And I can't speak completely open about this, but there was a matter that was very personal, um, and he handled it in such a compassionate
Mm.
and still professional manner. I was like, "You okay, Paul? You a good guy. You a good guy."
I mean, Paul is a great guy.
He really is. He really is. Um, so let's see. So far, this kicks off at 7 tomorrow.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
tickets are free. Which, by the way, please get your freaking tickets. Like,
It's free.
it's free,
I'm
and
jealous.
I don't. A lot of people don't understand the significance of tickets, even in like a free setting. So when TEDx and FSCJ are trying to weigh out the success of an event and
Yeah,
how well it does, just seeing how many people bought tickets, even free tickets, is a great metric for them in terms of saying, okay, Was it worth the time and effort to bring all these people? Tobago, here. I'm talking about the tickets, Tobago. It really is important. So if you can, if you plan on watching it at all, Tobago, come over here. I'm like kicking you. You won't even move. What are you doing?
Tobago's
So
so
you've been
sweet.
liking the stream now, like what was that, Elena?
No, Tobago's so sweet. Just wanting
Sometimes.
some attention
Come
and to
here. I
be.
spend all day and night with him, Elena. He gets me 24/7. Come here. Come here, Tobago.
Oh,
Good boy, come on.
he just wants to be part of the discussion
Hold
today.
on, let me go. Hey, what do you don't not tummy rub time. Ah, like he even got like extra turkey and stuff today. All
Oh,
right, there we go, Tobago. You're on. He just likes
yeah.
being on the stream. So I'm gonna bring up some of your work,
Okay.
and we could talk about it a little bit. That would be awesome.
I'd love to.
All right. So the stuff I'm going to be bringing up first is from the annual eighth annual coaster show. Let's
Okay,
see,
sure.
and I think this is something that's going on. This is the one that's going on the West Coast, right? That you got accepted into.
Yes, yes. The eighth annual coaster show at Gallery 30 South in Pasadena, California. Um, I guess it started out as one of those shows that was like a filler for a cancellation they had had,
Mm-hmm.
and it ended up being something that they wanted to do annually after that.
Oh, cool.
And this is the eighth one, and I'm super honored to be among so many contemporaries that were chosen for the exhibition. They just posted the preview live today on their website, so you can view all the works that have been included. And but as far as like if you want to buy any of that work, it doesn't go live to purchase anything until October 1st when the show officially opens.
You drop this information in the chat. Um, so let me ask you something that I think a lot of the artists probably wonder. How do you go about getting into a gallery like this? Is this something where like literally they just message you out of the blue? Did you try to apply for it? Did you like know about it and be like, hey, you think I could like can you tell me a little bit about how this came about?
Oh, yes. I am very happy to share.
Hey.
So, I get this question fairly often, and most of the time when I get it, it's pretty discreetly, like on the side while I'm out somewhere, as if I have some kind of trade secret or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always happy to share that kind of information. I think the more opportunities out there for people and connecting them to them, the better it is for everyone. So for me, if I'm interested in showing my work other than where I live, I start by looking up hashtags of call to artists
Mm-hmm.
or open calls or submission, like just any kind of hashtag of that nature, and I would kind of browse whatever is there. Sometimes you can browse by what's most popular,
Mm-hmm.
or you can browse by what is most recently posted. I always choose most recent because, I want to make sure that I'm participating in shows that are
Something that's
actually still
current and
ongoing.
actually yeah.
And then I kind of research, I do my due diligence and I say, okay, this gallery, it has work that maybe would be a good fit with my work. Like they kind of seem to vibe
Mm-hmm.
with the artists they already show or represent. And I would uh, either respond to the call by producing new work, specific if it's a theme, and potentially other works previously created if it works for the call. And other times I just reach out to them directly and ask if they have a submission process or, just submit a portfolio to them in digital format.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Usually there are all kinds of constraints. Each gallery or show will have their own process, right? They would say, I want to have the files at this size, and they have to be transferred this way to us, and the name of the file should be titled as
Mm-hmm.
such. And
Mm-hmm.
so you really want to pay attention to that, because if you get one thing wrong, they automatically going to reject you. So
I've tried rejecting people, Elena. All people do is just yell at me afterwards. Why didn't
oh,
you put that up? I'm like, well, you gave me like this freaking 30 gigabyte PNG file.
oh,
But
yeah.
no, like I'm grateful that you're sharing so much, and I don't mean to cut you off. I want you to
Not
actually
at
keep going, keep talking. I'll chime in later
No,
on.
yeah, feel free to ask anything in between. But that's kind of my tip is, how do I get, connected with these galleries outside of where I live? It's by, researching and finding the galleries or exhibitions or fairs or opportunities. Um, there are other databases that you can join and be like have an account, and you can upload all of your works. And whenever there's a call to artists, sometimes it's one main hub. I forgot the site, but I can share it with you later,
Yeah,
Ryan, if anyone asks about it. um, it's definitely a great place for opportunity grants, calls like that. Those are super valuable to sustaining a living and getting funding for your projects, whatever they may be. So, yeah, constantly research, look up hashtags, and
mm,
don't be afraid to submit, and don't be afraid of rejection, because there's always another opportunity. People ask me that all the time, and I always just let them know that for every 10 things that I submit my work to, maybe only one or two of those become success, maybe, and that's
yeah,
on a good day. And half of the time, I don't even hear back whether or not
right.
I get in. So it's okay, you just kind of gain the tough skin over the time, and just continue to do the work and grow and evolve, and don't be discouraged by rejection. There's tons of opportunities.
No, like so. I think I had to phrase this, and I guess I can take the picture down for a second. I've got your E Honda looking coaster up, but no, I don't think a lot of people realize just how many times you have to hear no.
Yeah,
Like you have to be rejected, and there's so much like even up to this day,
yeah,
like when I'm doing let's say an art contest with GAM,
right.
like I am writing like emails left and right, just telling people that the thing is going on, and that it's not just like, hey, you put an on switch and it happens. Same thing with like getting your artwork submitted into a place.
Mm,
Embrace technology that's there, and I'm so glad you mentioned like using Instagram and just searching for call for artists. When we post stuff, I put call for artists on the tags. I do the same thing on Twitter. I push it out even on like Tumblr still. I do posts on like DeviantArt.
yep.
I'll post stuff in Craigslist until Craigslist like bans me and takes me down, and they're like, "Oh, you can't post this here." I'm like, "It's exactly what this section is for." Um, so you're gonna hear no. You have
Mm,
to hear no. If you're not hearing no at all, then you're not pushing yourself at all. Like you're just taking like the easiest thing. You're probably not gonna get that much out of it, to be honest.
yeah.
But I'm sure once you hit a level. If you're the Rock, they're not gonna tell you no. But most of us aren't the Rock. Um, I'm gonna bring up a picture or two of some of the work that you're doing for the coaster show, if you wouldn't mind talking
Sure.
a little bit about it. Right now, I've got the. Actually, let's do the Swan piece first. I
Okay.
think that's the one I tend to see a lot. I don't know if there's any thoughts or I don't know feelings you want to share about this piece, what it means to you, or like, hey, I just really like this freaking bird. I like egrets. Like, tell me about this piece. And Danny says hi. What's up, Danny? How you doing?
Hi, Danny. As far as this piece, um, actually, the first thing that I had trouble with in thinking about a coaster show was the fact that I had constraints in size,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the way that they will all be displayed. They can't be two, three-dimensional, and so I mean, and the option was a circle or square, and I chose a circle, and I started playing with some compositions and I wasn't really feeling it. And then I said, well, what if I zoom into my girls and I have like, this very like in your face circle, and
Mm-hmm.
how can I bring some kind of theme to it, but also the pieces stand alone. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be a set. I want them to be successful just by themselves.
Yeah.
Um, so that was kind of my initial thought process. And then moving forward, I started working with acrylics on this substrate because, man, coaster, it's like the kind of coaster you would find in a dive bar that you put your can
Yeah.
or bottle of beer on. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's not prepped surface. And
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, how can I play with this? It's porous.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of material am I going to use? Or medium, and I chose acrylic. So
So wait, so these are one of a kind at this point then.
they are, yeah, they
Okay.
are original pieces. Um, and the crane, I was just thinking about where I feel in my life, like hope and harmony and these kinds of symbols. And I felt like a crane represents that very well. And oftentimes I have a Japanese as context in my work.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just naturally fell into place as I started kind of thinking about the things each day that inspired me to make a piece. So I created the crane piece and
And this way,
I
Crane Ramen can
yeah.
buy it. No. Hey, I keep it real. I tell y'all how to do stuff to make money, y'all. You got to take advantage. Make sure you're relevant to your local businesses. But no, this is. But would you be? Do you have a process in mind for how you could make? Well, I guess you could just recreate the art at that
Mm,
point if you wanted to like mass produce or something like that. If you
yeah.
wanted to.
Mm.
Okay, interesting. Sorry.
Are you are you asking me if I wanted to mass produce coasters? Like,
Yeah.
what would I do for that process?
Yeah.
Mm. Actually, I looked into
Uh
it
huh.
and I wanted to see what kind of a third-party company that creates different types of merchandise.
Hmm.
Um, to you can put your artwork on and
Yeah.
still retain a level of quality,
Hmm.
and I found a few, but
I've been looking at
then
Society 6 lately. They're
yeah,
kind of
that's
like
a
my
great
go-to for in terms
example.
of quality.
Mm,
I don't like some of the other things they do in terms of like pricing. Because that's
mm-hmm.
the again. Here's the real talk version for everybody else in the chat. Like because you're looking into mass produce something and you don't want to take the weight of fulfillment all the time,
Yeah,
and so you only have there's a ton of great options, but some options aren't so great. So like Society 6 is great, and like their quality. Like I've gotten like canvas prints from them and different artwork. I've had books produced with them,
yeah,
and it's great. But then I think they're the ones, and forgive me if I'm misspeaking. I'll know they'll never sponsor us. Uh, it's like 10% markup, I think, on all the items, like as a flat, except for art. And then art, you can mark it up to whatever you want.
yeah,
And that hurts sometimes because if you're doing something like a set of coasters and you're like, and people will freak out like, oh well, why do I need to pay $40 for this item? And you're like, bruh, I only get $4 out of this $40, and then I get taxed 30% of the $4, so it's like
yeah.
I only get to see $3 and something. um
I totally.
Redbubble is decent. So go ahead. What did you discover along on your
Oh,
process?
yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And I think this is where, from, creative entrepreneurship standpoint, you have to think about, what is your return on investment and
Hmm.
what things are you willing to
And time is part of that investment. It's
absolutely. Like, I don't want to spend all my day like packaging something and
Yeah.
putting on a label and shipping it out. For me, that's a separate business.
Mm-hmm.
My focus is the creation of the work.
Mm-hmm.
So the output of the work and logistically getting that to people, if I can eliminate that from my process, I'm willing to take a cut, but you have to know how much are you willing to take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think third party companies like Redbubble and Society 6, they're great companies, but you're right, they do take a fair percentage of that sale, and yeah, you will pay taxes on that income through them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
You ain't hiding it. By the
there's a
way, Nale, how do you pronounce her name? Nale Kim?
Nale. Hi,
Nale
Nale.
is awesome. She is like championing you left and right in the chat. Um, Danny is asking where they can buy your work. So she's like, yeah, she has a website. So we just dropped
Oh my gosh, that's so
ElenaÖhlander.com in
sweet.
there.
Thanks, guys.
David Morales, he's all about Crane Ramen.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yum.
so yeah, sorry, I was catching you up on the chat talk.
No, that's okay. I got a text, so I have to respond. But yeah.
Yeah. So here's I'm gonna just go through a few other pieces on the stream, and you tell me which one you would like to stop and talk about, if any.
Sure.
Let's see, we've got Blue Haired
Mm,
Girl. That's the official title. I'm making it now.
okay. Yeah. I mean, the title is blue.
Oh
So, I
yeah.
mean, you got it.
We have Yakuza Fish Girl.
Yeah. Mm, mm, mm.
Okay, what's the
I
story
love
with
it.
this one? Is there a story you just want to do a cool design with two fish? Is there something?
Well, I was thinking about the idea of yin and yang, like this kind of,
Mm.
in Japanese is called inyo,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean that is a pretty a common idea of balance,
Mm-hmm.
and with the forces of nature, or however you want to take that, good and evil, or however you take it. Um, and I was just kind of playing with that, and how maybe internally we have those elements in ourselves every day, and it's kind of combating with each other um, all the time. Even if you have good intentions, sometimes the way someone receives that could be taken wrong way. And so, I don't know, reflecting on yourself and how to move more mindfully through your interaction with others is valuable. And that's kind of where I was going with that
Man,
piece.
that's way more than I thought. I thought I saw was a girl with a cool face tattoo. But
I mean, thank you.
yeah, but no, I really like how, and you touched on this a little bit earlier, and I think a lot of the
Mm,
other artists who are like in the chat right now can definitely identify with this.
mm,
I really can appreciate how you took something that is, I want to say, like identifiable with you as an artist,
mm,
that has meaning to you, and you were able to create something that works with a confined medium, like with
mm,
that problem, and create a series out of it. Because to make something that is a series in itself is very difficult, because you have to make sure that, okay, how many pieces am I going to do? Can this idea translate X amount of times over and not become played out or redundant? Can it still say something when I keep making slight alterations of my vision?
no,
And
that's true. Thank you.
no, it's great, and you managed to make it where everything is. It's not iconic. Isn't the word that I'm looking for,
Mm,
but it visually stands out very well. Like in terms of like I can catch it from afar and I can digest it. I don't have to, like, the longer I stare at it, I can get something else out of it. But I can just see it and be like, okay, this is vibrant, it sticks out. I can figure out within like a second, do I like this or not? You know what I mean?
mm,
Especially as for when people who are consuming your art, especially if they're going to be consumers in the respect of, hey, are they going to buy this? You almost sometimes you feel like you need to like dumb it down a little bit, because if you get too deep with artwork at certain times, like, okay, this is the stuff that the judges and my peers are gonna love,
yeah.
but is that the everyman who just wants to get cool art, can they get enough out of this within a moment, living in this kind of like Instagram, kind of like we were talking about before the start, this instant gratification world.
Yeah.
And I feel like this account, like even so, this piece, it's like this blue sumo.
Uh,
I'm giving the worst descriptions in the world, but that's kind of what.
no, it's okay.
But like, I love this blue pattern. The like it sticks out. It's so vibrant. This eye patch one, it reminds me of Kill Bill. I
Oh
don't know if
yeah.
it's supposed to
Great.
or not, but it again, I feel like the work you have has meaning to you,
Mm.
and it still allows the person who's digesting it to interpret it on their own and create their own meaning. I think is kind of like the hope with any artist in what you make. You just want to make them feel something. Hopefully, they get it and feel something somewhat close to what you're trying to put out there. But tell me about
Mm.
this eye patch piece. Sorry, I'm gonna shut up. You need to talk.
Ah, this eye patch piece, the title of the piece is very interesting. So it's like a girl open her eyes so wide that they tear at the corners.
God, that's fucking morbid, Elena. No, I'm kidding. I just thought it was like ladder eye patch girl.
Yeah, and then on her eye patch,
Uh-huh.
it says the Japanese character me, which
Uh-huh.
is for eye.
Uh-huh.
So I was just playing with these ideas of kind of
That it tears at the corner for her eyes.
yeah, she opens her
Uh-huh.
eyes so wide that
Uh-huh.
they tear at the
Uh-huh.
corners.
Oh man.
I mean, I
That's like
think
on the my thriller list and on Amazon Prime. I'm like just looking for like no, I'm kidding. Well, shit. I did not think it meant that. Now I know. Danny says, "Hey guys, I have a trip in a few hours, so I have to go. But Elena, I love your work.
oh, bye,
I'm
Denny.
definitely
Safe
looking to.
travels. Thanks for joining tonight.
Uh, God. You just told me how to pronounce your name. Nale, Nale,
Anale. Yeah.
Nale. She says the koi is beautiful,
Oh, thank
and
you.
Tia says all her pieces are amazing. My favorite is Ramen Girl.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that work too. Thanks, guys.
So tell me about
Mm.
Sh- Sugar Mama, Shugami, Shugiguma.
There's a sugar mamas?
Yeah, Sugar Mamas. This the E Honda looking one, like the red face paint.
Ah, yeah. So, the blue one and the red one are inspired by a certain form of kabuki theater in Japanese culture.
Mm.
And one thing that I find very fascinating about kabuki is that
I
all
love Kabuki Bar.
right, there's such a beautiful expression
Mm-hmm.
going on there that transcends language. Um, although it does help to know the narrative, but but I think uh, when you have actors in that form of theater, all of them are male, and even the ones that play female part.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of try to play with this idea that female is not omitted from that form of expression. And I like the kind of the dramaticism that happens there in the narrative and storytelling and archetypal characters. And with these specifically, I what I think is most fascinating about the paint on the face of kabuki is that when the actors finish their scenes, they can wipe, like they use this cloth and they put it on their face and they make like an impression of that thing.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool. Kind of like oh my god, what is that called? Go continue your story. Sorry.
oh no,
What I'm
yeah,
saying is not important.
no, it is. Don't think that. But I think there's something interesting there because if a kabuki theater actor were to paint the face and then try to make an imprint without doing their scene, it doesn't come off onto that cloth the same way that it does after you've kind of been sweating. And so there's almost
I
an art
see.
form to that,
Hmm.
just as much as there is in the performance. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
That's what I thought. That's really interesting, though. I didn't know that. So there's almost like this literal art form itself into you putting yourself into the work should make your body react in a certain way. That then when you do like the ink blot
Yeah.
test, so to speak, you have that's really cool. That's interesting. This is the most educational jam stream we've ever had.
I mean, thank you for being interested in asking me more about my work.
No, no, this is definitely this is stuff I'm interested in.
I
Um,
definitely try to keep it open to interpretation for the viewers because everyone is going to receive that work in their own meaningful way or not. and
what are you trying to say, Elena?
I mean, or not. I
Uh,
mean, it's okay if my
uh,
work doesn't resonate with you. It's understandable. Um, I I I I don't expect everyone to love my work,
mhm.
but I do appreciate those of whom connect with it, whether for their own personal reasons or because they enjoy the intention behind the work.
That's really cool. Let me let's jump over to the artwork for actually for TEDx FSCJ because I want to make sure people get excited about tomorrow.
Tomorrow's event.
Yeah, tomorrow
Let
is the
me know.
night. Dave Morales says Elena's take on Berserk.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
valid. That's valid.
Yeah, didn't you do one for like Guts or something like that?
Guts? Probably I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved your Astro Boy. Sorry. Okay, no, get focused. So we're talking about tomorrow's event. Right now we have. I want to say this is almost. I would kind of consider this to. Well, actually, no. Here, we'll put up the title piece.
Mm.
I think this is kind of considered the piece to represent the show, more or less. Probably this one and the one with the blue helmet. This
Yeah.
is what you have. BLM on kind of
Yeah.
like her helmet, I would think.
Right.
No justice, no peace.
Yeah.
Um, talk a little bit about this, like either like what it means to you, or
Mm.
hell, if you just did it because it looks cool, that's fine. But if it has like more
Uh,
meaning or what you want it to mean, if you could talk to that for
mm.
a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I was on this journey, creating work about anti-Asian sentiment
Mm.
and kind of confronting the viewer with some of these societal issues that we have going on, um, right around that time, George Floyd was murdered,
Mm.
and there was a resurgence for the Black Lives Matter movement, and really facing the issues that are going on, and doing so to even more extreme levels, as maybe we discussed before about rioting. Not that I condone rioting, but yeah, I do
Mm.
think that there's this whole, all of it matters, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
the Latinx community, whether that's, Black Lives Matter, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's the Asian community, or any other marginalized group.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's time to talk about that and
Mm-hmm.
be honest and confrontational, and um, and support each other in
Yes.
those efforts. Because I think when I think about, gosh, there's a word for it, and I lost it. But there's a very famous activist and writer who spoke very prolifically about a concept that I'm going to describe to you, for which you may know the word
Okay.
once I discuss it.
You
Um,
said marginalized, and I just thought
mm.
about butter, and
I mean, butter is not the healthiest thing,
it's
but
delicious. You live in the South,
it
Elena. You live in the South. Before you get into your story,
Mm.
Judith Pierre says her art to many people, no matter the level of understanding of the art, it resonates with you, and you find a connection or story in that. That was from Judith
True.
talking about your
That
art. That
was
was
so
super nice.
sweet. Thank you.
Um,
That means a lot.
yeah, and
I think intersectionality, that's
oh,
the
good.
word I was
Yes.
looking for.
Okay.
So let's say you may support Black Lives Matter, but if you don't support LGBTQ plus, but you support Black Lives Matter, then what about someone who's right
Mm-hmm.
intersectional with those groups? You really can't support one and not the other. So that's kind of my premise with this piece, is
Mm-hmm.
that I stand in solidarity with this movement,
Mm-hmm.
and that the change, needs to happen, and we can do it if we do it together.
I can see. I can definitely see that in the work itself.
Yeah.
Like when I first saw this piece, like first off, it is very, I want to say, it speaks loudly of the times that we're in. And at the same time, it has its own references to previous times where we've seen not just propaganda, but also I want to say the counter movements to propaganda.
Yeah.
Like these are the kind of like posters you would see be pasted up line after line on walls as people would protest like the government, um, as
Yeah.
rights were being withheld. And I love that it kind of that this whole series again takes from that kind of style. Um,
Thank
the
you.
spray paint, I think, type of aesthetic to it. Again, that also
Mhm.
like leads over to it, and it's weird. Like in some of these pieces, you have like these visors that lend itself not just in terms of like, hey, and I might be reading too much into this,
No, please.
but I see the visors as one, how the police kind of protect themselves from the rioters or the protesters, but at the same time, those kind of protections sometimes it blocks our eyes from being able to see the truths that are in front of us. But also, in a weird way, you have it, and I don't know if this is intentional. It's almost like a slightly futuristic, kind of like
Mm.
techno punkish type of style that kind of reflects like this is like a forward thinking type of thing. Maybe it's a little bit of the Akira in you coming out. I don't know, but there's so many different inspirations that you can see within the piece that all come together to make like one unified statement. Like to have an Asian person, that looks kind of like feministic strong,
Mm.
and even like I'll say this from like the hip hop side of me. When I see like those kind of big earrings, I'm reminded of like the strong women that you would see previously aligned with like kind of like the hip hop culture like in earlier
Mm.
times, and then combined with like no justice, no peace, and like she is the one, or I should say, like in these times, they're the one that's fighting for Black Lives Matter. I mean, amongst the time when they should be fighting for their own rights, amongst Chinese racism, it's like you're just talking about intersectionality, and I'm mispronouncing that word, but I'm getting most of the syllables right. So like this is okay. That's my take on this piece. I like it. And I didn't even notice the background stuff until like I watched your JTA video
Mm.
and I saw like okay, this is what is being intermingled in the background of the pieces. I thought that was super cool. But
Thank you. Yeah, I think that it is a very layered process, not just in terms of like the physicality of creation, but also in the conceptualization
yeah.
of the work, and how that it evolves based on, kind of what's going on right now, but also kind of where my thoughts are personally, and my personal experiences, or my friends, or my network of people around
Mm-hmm.
me, and just kind of being a reflection of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
See, let me bring up another one. Actually, which one's your favorite out
Me?
of the series? Yeah. If
Oh
you
man,
had to pick one.
gosh, if I had to pick one, I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I can never have an
Pick a
unbiased
favorite child.
own work.
One has to die.
Wow.
What about this one then? What about Lysol head?
Lysol had
Yeah.
I have a couple of them,
Hmm.
um, but I think not a virus. That's a yellow Lysol one. I think that was the first one that sparked the rise to
Ah,
all
okay.
the
Got
others
it.
that they created.
Hmm.
Um, and then Hate is a Virus, the one that's on screen now, is
Are
the
these
one.
mixed media pieces?
They are
Like,
mixed media
I'm seeing
pieces.
like some of the buttons and not. I don't even know if they're buttons, but like the little rainbow thing and the heart and
Yeah.
an actual sticker. I didn't realize that before. I thought it was all just. Oh, that's really cool.
Oh yeah, it's very layered.
Hmm.
There's several elements of collage and
Hmm.
application involved.
Hmm.
And in the end, if we're talking about process, I have begun resin coating all of my work to
Mm.
kind of encapsulate them in a way that one makes all the colors pop and
Yeah.
all those little elements of collage really stay preserved and archival
Hmm.
for an extended period of time.
Hmm. That's smart. I wish I would have done that more in my previous art because it's breaking
It's
down hard.
okay.
What about
Hmm.
So I think this piece speaks very loudly. Kung Flu. Like
Yeah,
I think that connects just from most people. I would say, and I shouldn't say most. A lot of people have heard the remarks
yeah.
regarding this. Really, like the news and the media has captured this.
Mm.
Uh, so I think, especially the Asian community, it means what the fuck? Because we were all like, how are they gonna spout something like this? Like this is some racist crap. Like that. This is like a casual off the cuff remark. Like that's freaking racist.
Yeah.
So to, like align that with go back to China and like I don't. Is this intention? Well, I guess maybe not. Before I only saw the one hand pointing to the left in the upper left
Mm.
hand corner.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe the hands were like gesturing like here's where you need to leave and return to. But maybe it's just like a cool communistic kind of like looking design. I don't know. I like this. What are your thoughts on this piece?
Gosh, thank you. Yeah, I think this piece is interesting to me because it was sitting with me for a while
Hmm.
before I created it. And I thought,
This is a
how
brave piece to put out, by the way. Because you do something like this, and you know that people are gonna talk. Like you know, there's gonna be an opinion that's a very strong opinion that could go either way on.
Oh, for
And yeah,
sure. And having those kinds of polarized
yes.
conversations, I think the fact that they're happening, I think to me that's very important. Um, I'm not doing it to instigate
No.
anything specifically, but I just want to reflect the very words that have been used in society and trying to create empathy in the viewer as they imagine themselves um, kind of at the mercy of such words, and then simultaneously using those words as a way of empowerment. This female figure
Mm,
is wearing these words like
yeah.
they're adorned, and using it to combat the racism and using it against whoever may have used those words to mean something mean or awful,
Mm.
and kind of turning it around.
That's really cool. I didn't even think about that. You just gave me another layer. I like it. So during this virtual exhibit tomorrow,
Yeah.
um, one will people are they able to buy these pieces like through the event itself? Like, are these pieces for sale? Like, what? How does that whole thing work?
Well,
I'm
at
taking
this
notes.
point, a lot of the pieces have already sold,
Mm-hmm.
which I am grateful for.
Awesome.
But some of them are actually going to physical exhibitions elsewhere.
Hmm.
And so these works, they serve more as a conversation
Hmm.
than they do as an exhibition of sorts with some kind of intention to sell. It's more about the conversation around the works and how that connects to other people and their work that they're currently creating in this time, and how together our works create a conversation
That's
around
really
this
cool.
topic.
So how will tomorrow work in terms of, so these pieces will be put up. Like,
Mm,
are you gonna be and like able to actually talk about the pieces during, like, is it like a mega Zoom call? Like, how is
yeah, it
tomorrow
is.
gonna work out?
It is going to be a Zoom call, and the panelists will be part of the discussion, kind of a Q&A
Hmm.
format, and providing these visual references for the audience to really get an understanding of the work that we're all individually a part of or creating, and how that relates to the conversation. Yeah.
That's gonna be really cool. Judith said something.
Ah.
Judith says she's a soldier ready for battle and making a statement for where she stands. Just in case you weren't sure, the message is clear: no justice, no peace. Seeing Black Lives Matter on anything is a bold statement these days. It
Yeah,
is, and it shouldn't be, which is sad.
yeah.
Um, it does give a sense of support and solidarity as well. Also, she has awesome fashion sense and those earrings.
Judith, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there for sure. And hopefully, my goal, I hope, is for the viewer to contemplate these racial issues, these
Hmm.
societal issues, and really look internally at how they can have hard conversations with friends or family,
Hmm.
or do the work that maybe is not the protest. There's many ways in which you can do the work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and anything that can create a conversation where it helps us understand each other a little bit
Mm,
more, I think is a good thing.
yeah.
You know, and
I
art is fantastic about doing that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? What else do you want to talk about from all the stuff you sent me, Elena? 'Cause you sent me a shit ton of stuff.
I know.
What else is important? Like, well, it's all important, but oh wait, hold on. Oh, whoa. What is this?
I don't know.
What is this vote stuff? This looks badass.
Oh, vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Y'all get out and vote.
as we know,
What
it
is,
is an election year,
yeah.
and
Mize
I think
Gallery?
to promote people to exercise their right to vote,
Mm-hmm.
I think voting matters more now than ever,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we should absolutely show up, because that is part of the work. And these pieces are for an exhibition in St. Petersburg titled Vote. It'll be in the month of October, which
Mm-hmm.
is fast approaching already. But it's a way to promote the idea of voting before November voting time and election comes around. So,
I
um,
really like these. I really. I don't know if it's the colors or just maybe it's because her hair reminds me of like Alicia Hardlicka. Um,
oh,
but
oh, I love that.
these pieces are awesome. Let me ask you something. This is kind of like on a tangent.
Yeah,
So I've had a few people come up to me, I guess, from different organizations talking about
yeah,
pushing various nominees
okay,
for the voting stuff through GAM. And
okay,
obviously, I have my own personal choices that I would like to make as a voter.
yeah,
Um, and which I would like to, push in that direction.
yeah.
But what do you think about me promoting one side or another? Or maybe should I just say, hey, people, just get out there and vote and leave off the who I think you should vote for? You know what I
Um,
mean? Because it's
I will
kind of, it's like,
I will be honest. I will be
yeah,
honest
yeah, be
for sure.
honest with me.
So, I think if anyone knows me on a personal level,
Mm.
these pieces are interesting because they're not necessarily super party specific,
Yeah,
but they do allude to it in a kind of subtle way.
yeah.
And I do want to promote a more unbiased
Hmm.
approach to um, exercising your right. But um, I will absolutely say that I feel like a vote for Trump is a vote against me personally,
Yeah, I kind of feel
you
like that
know?
too. I think I might end up having just to be biased on this. Just
You can. I think you
yeah,
have every right to. And those who feel differently, then they can exercise their right to vote how
yeah,
they feel fit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Judith says, I think that's what stands out for the most is this kung flu piece because of the absurdity of that way of thinking to the forefront. We're on the
Mm.
same page, Judith. We're on the same page.
Thank you, Judith.
David says, "Ah, I see the TED Talk has begun early." But yeah, like so.
Mm.
I'm glad you said that. I really am because I'll be real with you. I battle with it in terms of
Yeah.
I think everybody has their own right to think whatever they want to think,
Yeah.
and I try. How do I phrase this? I want to make sure that we're exuding the right ethics
Mm.
and moralities, but I don't know. I guess I ethically battle with like, is it moral for me to try to sway people one way or another with this
Mm.
platform? Like, technically, I think I consider this an art in its own,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, is it okay if McDonald's says like, "Hey, vote for Yang," which that's who I wanted to win, but I want a universal basic income for all of y'all. But I don't know. It's a
Mm.
tangent. Just you maybe, and I know I can be
Yeah.
honest with you, and your pieces kind of speak to this a lot. So I don't know.
I mean, I think honesty is the best policy, and but I also think you're right. I think people do have the right to have their own opinion, but I think that's where that work comes into play, right? Having those one-on-one conversations
Yeah,
and opening it up to talk openly and honestly and compassionately with each other to understand another person's point of view. And I think that's where real empathy comes from. I think we're all capable of that to some degree. And um, and it's not always a really defined line. I think the line can be blurred based on um, maybe your morals, your religious beliefs, there's just so many factors that go into some of that decision making and where someone stands. And so I try to come openly,
yeah,
to conversation like that. I have my own beliefs. They're there.
yeah.
But
Yeah, they're pretty evident in the work.
yeah, I think
But
so.
yeah, no, I appreciate you. I mean, you always keep it real with me. Nale, God, why can't I not pronounce your name properly?
Nale?
Nale, okay, this is Nale. Okay, she says, or they say, it's hard to come from a business and try to be unbiased. It really is. Like,
Yeah,
it's almost what you were saying. The lines are so blurry.
yeah,
There's a lot of gray.
there
Like
is.
even where we are as individuals and entities and the I want to say persona or brands we create for ourselves for a public perspective. Sometimes it's such a thin line between what is public versus private.
Mm,
Like you as Elena, you create all this art, and this is the part that the public gets to know and see. And
yeah,
there's so many things that crosses over between that and you as Elena, just the person, not the you know, the
yeah,
artist entity.
yeah.
So it's like
That's
I don't know.
true.
It's just a very blurry line.
It is, and I
I'll
think
fuck it up. I don't know.
I honestly think that you made a valid point that the gray area is an interesting place to be because that's where you can meet people in the middle.
Yeah,
You know?
I hope.
Yeah,
We try to
I,
meet in the middle.
I
We try
think
to meet in the middle. Judas is
eventually.
uh, eventually, yes. God, we hope eventually. Judas
Mm.
says telling people what they should do usually has the opposite, especially on Americans. So I will say, no, no, because then if I tell y'all what to do and try to make it the opposite, watch everybody end up doing it. Like, fuck my life. Judith, I think you, me, and Elena, and most minorities are on the same page on this. Um, Nale says, or show an unbiased face. It's very difficult to show an unbiased face.
That's so true, Nale. So
Yeah.
true.
And I think there's something to being honest
Yeah.
to the extent where it's okay to then be biased. Is all.
Mm.
If your biases are completely evident, you're not trying to hide them, or you're not trying to be malicious through that. It's like,
Mm.
when you have a kid, your kid is trying to do something, and you're like, yeah, you're the best. That's my kid. It's like, yeah, of course you're gonna say that. It's like, yeah, that's my kid. Best kid in the world. Fuck every other kid. I don't care.
Oh my gosh.
That's fine. But if you were to secretly be like, that kid is the best, but you
Yeah.
never came forward and being that kid's like father, and you're like, man, that guy's weird. He's always supporting that kid. I think maybe he's a child molester. I don't know.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
then it's kind of weird. And then, anyways,
Yeah.
I don't know
There
where that
are
conversation's
extremes.
going.
There are
Yeah.
extremes. But, I think you can make the right decision for yourself about how to navigate that and try to find that middle ground. It's not easy and you won't find it with everyone, but I say it's worth trying.
Yeah. What's the worst that could happen? Page gets deleted. Okay.
I mean, like, ooh.
No. What other stuff do you want to talk about from what you sent me, Elena?
Um, Other than the TEDx FSCJ event
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow night, Friday, there is an Art Workers United event, which
Ooh.
has a little bit of crossover with the work that I created for that's included in the TEDx FSCJ event.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's an outdoor event at the Lot 18 at
Oh,
UNF.
right. Outdoor event. That means I can talk about it.
Yeah, it's outdoors, and they also will be
Mm-hmm.
streaming it live virtually
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to, come in close contact. Not that it won't be socially distant,
Mm-hmm.
but still, we respect everyone's decision to stay home and still participate. Um, it's an event slash performance. So you have like spoken word poetry, you have maybe some music and an artwork all together in one event that's kind of unifying individuals. That's
I'm
kind of,
just, I'm thrilled that y'all are doing an outdoor style event. This is something actually has, I want to say, presented itself to me a lot lately. For
yeah.
those of you that are, longtime GAM people, y'all know how often we used to throw events. But
Mm.
obviously, during all this, we don't do that shit. I'm not. I can't tell you how many requests we get per week
Yeah.
to do an event. Like, oh yeah, would you like to come and use this like space for free? And it's like, no, motherfuckers, we ain't putting people inside these rooms, and you gotta be crazy.
Yeah,
But
no.
I'm more than okay. Like an outdoor style
Mm.
event where we can practice like safe social distancing and the right
Yeah.
protocols that could be put in place. I'm all for that. We're talking to a few people right now about trying to get some stuff together later on this year. So I will be definitely watching this event. Oh shit! What time is this? From 8 to 12?
Yeah, it's quite late. Mm.
I We have a Call of Duty thing that night, but I can crash it maybe like around 10:30. Still be going on.
Yeah.
I think this is great because it's a lot of these style events that I see going on now, they're not about how many people can show up to something or
Right.
selling a ticket. It usually has to do with community. Like, how can we help people? How can we create a conversation about something? How can we actually feed people on their emotional needs and hungers that they've been, suffering withdrawal on during these times? And how can we do this in a way where we don't have to worry about or be so concerned about their safety and their health? So what's the how can we do this in a way that isn't going to threaten that? So I love seeing that this is happening, that you're a part of something like this.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that we have to find the way back to community,
mhm,
right? That's where it all starts. And I think kind of stepping back and realizing that that's what events really do provide,
mhm,
is bringing community together.
mhm.
And I'm curious to see how it goes as well Friday.
Yeah, I mean, this
Mm,
is this is the finding of what our new normal is, and I hate that term, but it's kind of appropriate.
yeah,
But how do we go forward in a post-COVID world or a post-pandemic world, really?
right.
Because we don't know, there could be another one around the corner.
Mm,
How does society function when we have these obstacles? And I think the more things that we can do that are intelligent and smart and cautious like this, the better we'll be in the long run. Like, I hate seeing this. I can't tell you how many videos I've seen the past week of people like at nightclubs and stuff, and it's like packed nuts to butts, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, we don't. The science, man. Just go to the science. Even if things are wrong, just try to be compassionate towards the people that this could possibly affect. You're gonna
right.
be all right. And then I say to myself, none of y'all would last in prison. But Tia says, okay, Nalay says, do your research. Judith, I think responding back to you, Elena, says, what? My kids are the best. Um, Tia says, at the end of the day, the best balance is just always trying to be true to yourself. Everyone's going to have opinions. That's true, Tia, unless you're Hitler. Then it's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have told that guy to be true to himself. That didn't work out. Um,
If the Bauhaus had just accepted his artwork next week, like,
uh, that's so true. Sorry.
if
That's a
only.
that's an art joke. There'll be like 4 people on the stream that'll ever watch this that'll get that joke. But I appreciate it.
Oh, good.
That's a good one. Mackenzie Moore says, "Sorry, I'm late to the party. My specialty. What I miss? You missed a bunch, Mackenzie, but you'll be all right. You can watch the replay. We're talking with Elena Øhlander about her art being presented at tomorrow's TEDx FSCJ event regarding, I want to say, racism and combating racism in the current times. Not the enemy panel discussion.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we talk about. Um, Judith says, I think what Ryan meant to say is that what's right for you will always be right for another person. And some people choose to make their decisions based on what affects them without concerning themselves with how it affects others.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Judith is around because I say a lot of things correctly. It doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, it just makes you a human that lives on this earth.
We are all human, as far as I know.
Okay. It's a hard
Not
truth to
quite.
swallow for most. That's what she said. But there should always be people that fight for justice and for humanity as a whole. And then
Yeah.
Judith also says,
that.
so true, Elena.
Thank you for catching me up on the chat because I
Yeah.
can't see it.
No. You're fine. You're fine. Yeah. I don't know what else to talk about.
I don't
I want
know.
you to get on the stream more often, like when we're playing games. I was really hyped when you came on and play Street Fighter with us.
That was so much fun. I mean, I'm glad that you waited for my very slow installation to finish.
No, that was fast. Like, Morales and I were waiting, and we were like, "Holy shit! Like, she's good to go already." That was quick.
Oh, but then I realized that there was more installation to go.
Yeah, but still it's good. Um, I would definitely like to have you back on. I'm talking to Logan and Derek and a few of the
Okay.
others just to talk about, I think, art in general,
Hmm.
or even if it's other galleries or exhibitions that are going on. I think that,
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
yeah, and I'll figure out a
There's
better
so
way to
much
do
going
this.
on in the community all the time.
Hmm.
And I think not everybody knows about it. A lot of
Yeah,
times we live in a microcosm or echo chamber. And so the
yeah.
people who you reach are the people who you always reach,
Hmm.
which is great. But sometimes you want to make sure you're including your network a little further than that in
Hmm.
case you might reach someone new.
Yeah, and
Mm,
sometimes that new person can really enlighten your own perspectives. Like
absolutely.
I try like on YouTube,
Mm,
I'll subscribe and check up on a lot of videos from people who definitely do not share the same opinions that I do.
mm, mm, mm.
And I feel like I get the most out of them sometimes.
Mm, yeah,
'Cause, yeah, you see things from just like half the time, like, this guy's fucking wrong and I hate him. And I'm like, yeah, I got a good point there. Or like, I never considered that someone may take this in a certain way. And then I
right,
can appreciate a little bit better. Like, we have differences, and I may not agree with you, but at least I understand why you have this difference of opinion.
right. Yeah, you're already doing it, Ryan. Good job.
I'm sure I wrote that down before this call just so I could say it and look like a better human being. Tobago's the one that actually does it, clicks on everything. But okay, I don't want to keep you any
No, thank
longer.
you.
Um, I'm going to end the stream.
Mm.
If you can hang here for just a second, I'm just gonna say bye to everybody else. So go ahead and say bye, Elena.
Bye, guys.
You have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
talking and listening and showing up and conversing and supporting, and not just me and Ryan, but each other. And stay safe out there. And maybe if you would like, feel free to come to the TEDx FSCJ panel discussion tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's free, and I think it'll be a compelling conversation that has a lot to do with society right now.
And Nale is awesome. She is our commenter of the night. Sorry, Judith. You
All
would
of
be
you
too,
are
but
lovely. Thank you for commenting and questions, and we'll have time to chat again in the future and talk all things art, culture, games, music, community, philanthropy, love, inclusivity, all the things in Tobago.
yeah, Tobago. And Judith won. Judith just beat Nale. She said, "Let's talk about all the games, the art, alcohol, and the music."
Oh,
It's a
that's you.
tie.
Oh,
Nale and Judith, you guys are Team NJ now.
thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye.
Just wave awkwardly for a few seconds.